always do this. My name is Jeanelle Austin. I'm the Executive Director of the George Floyd Global Memorial. And we are doing this program, Reframe, in partnership with, it's a restorative wellness response project. And so Dr. Michelle Renee here is a co-partner in help building the restorative wellness response project, so we're grateful for you. And we have Dr. RT, who is an educator at the University of Minnesota in the medical school. And then we have White Coats for Black Lives present. So Oyomide in the back is helping support this. And then it is Arts and Medicine is here as well, supporting this program. And did I miss anything? SMA, yes! And it's Fatima? Yes. And so we have this awesome collaboration together to really bring together community and students. So if you're community members, don't hesitate to make friends with the students, and if you're students, don't hesitate to make friends with the community, because we want to be able to embrace you all and welcome you all into our neighborhood. So welcome to George Floyd Square, welcome to Onyx Coffeehouse, shout out to Billy in the back who's hosting us. So grateful. And so I'm going to give the mic over to RT, who will tell us a little bit about the gift card element and survey.
Hey everybody. So we're excited to potentially just have a really amazing dialogue between student community members and people from this neighborhood about health and health equity, and particularly my interest is in what should health professions trainees be learning from a health equity perspective to help take care of our communities better. So, so after we're done with the sort of dialogue component of this afternoon, I would invite you all to fill out a very short survey that I have. And if you're from the neighborhood, from the community, I have the capacity to give some gift cards for people who are willing to fill out the survey. It's not a very long survey, but I think it would help inform what we should be teaching our students from the perspective of people that live in different neighborhoods. So today, people that live here.
Awesome. And then do you want to talk about the competency options?
Oh yeah. So for anyone like from the neighborhood or anyone here who's staying for this event, we have coffee available, tea available, and any like pastries or snacks available. And then if you want a specialty drink that is not like prepaid for, so then we ask that you would pay for that on your own.
All right. So we are ready to get started. And so I don't think I asked between the two of you which one of you wanted to go first. Should we flip a coin?
I would like for Tamiko to go first, because then it's better mood. No.
Awesome. I love that. And then Tamiko, there's a mic next to you. You'll need to flip it on. So Tamiko French, actually let me read her bio right off the page, so I don't get it wrong, but Tamiko French is an awesome community member, and she has been active in so many places and spaces, and she makes jewelry. So if you ever want to buy jewelry from her, she makes beautiful jewelry right across the street at Chicago Avenue Fine Arts Center. And do you have any exhibits coming up?
Yes, I do. My next exhibit's in December, and it will be over at Modus Locus, which is at 35th and Bloomington. If you've ever been over to Reverie, it's next door to that, Reverie Cafe Bar. And can't miss it. It's a bunch of wonderful graffiti all over the place and murals, and it's a great place to hang out too.
Awesome. Great. So let me read her bio straight to you. Tamiko French is a choreographer, arts educator, vibrational wellness practitioner, and jewelry designer in the Minneapolis area. She has worked in the Minneapolis School District for the last 7 years, focused in dance, theater, and jewelry design. Her most recent accomplishments include the City of Minneapolis Creative Recovery Grant Project, the Rock Royalty Experience, where art, vibration, and energy meets healing. She shares vibrational wellness practices in sound and crystal healing, as well as meditation through movement. So, without further ado, welcome Tamiko French, and we're going to have her share her story.
Hey everybody. Thank you for that. It's beautiful. It sounds like I've done a few things in my life. Okay. So, my story. There's a whole bunch of parts to it, but we're gonna just share some really important ones. I am a native of Minneapolis, born in North Minneapolis, graduate of the Minneapolis public school system since I was a child, and have been able to experience the community on many different levels. Education is probably my biggest inspiration, and the biggest thing I think my mom imparted to me was that the one thing that no one can take from you is the development of your brain. Now I invite you to just, for a moment, think of all the ways that our environment tries to pull you away from your power of using your brain. All of the traumas, all of the situations, all of the overstimulation of your nervous system to take you off of your kilter from using that power of your brain to help inform wellness, healing, various centers, your vagus nerve, that's the longest nerve in your body, that allows you to be affected in so many ways. And it all starts with a vibration. It starts with intention, as we're tethered to see and feel and hear. Okay, so now, I graduated from North High School and went to Temple University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I was gone for 15 years. I left from Philly to go to Kansas City, Missouri, and found my mom, who moved from here and went to be with her sister. So I got basically a triangular understanding of what our culture kind of looks like, and was called to come back here in 2015, actually 2013, to teach at North High School, where the arts programming had been diminished, and the dance program that I had graduated from it had been in existence since the early 80s was gone. And because of the richness it had given my own life as a young person starting my professional career at 14 years old, with my first show being at the Walker Art Center, I felt it necessary to build that program back, to help build community around understanding why that program is important, not just that one, but all of arts at North High School. So myself and about 4 other artists in all the other disciplines in the school helped to really contribute to the vibrancy of the arts programming at North High School. In 2019, let me go back, there's so many things, okay. So in 2019, I was given an opportunity to direct work for the Edinburgh French Festival. At that time, I had been in about 4 car accidents. I had been in a couple other health issues and was looming on a major surgery. A lot to handle with a lot of responsibility as a teacher, as an educator, which is a 24-hour-a-day job if you are really caring about your students and their wellness. So my body systematically over time was on the verge of breaking down, and no matter how much you know, and my feeling at the time was, we as Minneapolis are already behind. And what I experienced in Philadelphia, even what I experienced in Kansas City, and working in education systems there, we're still behind. And so I don't really have an option to stop. Who else is going to do the work if I don't stop? But again, being an example of how to properly slow down and how to care for yourself is also a huge strength too. And I didn't really understand that at the time. It took a while for me to get there. In 2011, I was introduced to a way to do that, and I was still doing it wrong, honestly. And you can amass skills, but still not actually apply them completely to your life. So in 2011, when I first listened to the Crystal Singing Bowls, actually in person, and singing bowls, I was taking that on as a practice. However, still wanting to embrace martyrism, working too hard, and not smartly. So in about 2017, I'm fast forwarding now, about 2017 and 2018 into 2019, developing this work with North High School, getting the honor to produce work at the Edinburgh French Festival, the largest arts festival in the world. Things were mounting, and we came around to 2020. Imagine you have this humongous honor, and then the pandemic hits, and the whole entire season of 17 children that you're building with an original show that talks about who they are as people, and puts them in a place of artistship that allows them to have their own narrative swept from under them. It was a huge blow, not just for myself, but for our community, and no one thought we would bounce back from that. That took a toll, and then May 25th, where we are right now, where we sit right now. And I live in Powderhorn, and just the vibration, the understanding, the feeling, the emotions, and being who I am, and a native of here, and knowing that every last person that I knew that wasn't from here only knew us from very few things. And the number one thing was something extremely negative. And so just processing that, not well at the time, affected me in a layer of ways, mostly with my ability to go to sleep, with my ability to really just stay focused on any one thing. And going back to the layers of wellness that I knew, it was going to take a monumental effort for me to get back to sleeping, because I'm right there at Powderhorn and I could hear everything that's going on outside, see everything from stepping outside my door, just like many of us could. So I wanted to show up as authentically as I could. And for my kids, I was a caretaker, babysitter, not a director anymore of the play. We did what we needed to do to get by. And then as that depleted me, how do I fill my cup back up? Pulling into my wellness community. Going a little further to September 17th, and the reason why I'm here, to me, what pulled me into right now. September 17th, I was getting ready to deliver one of the biggest projects I had ever done to date to a client, and my body had been under a lot of stress in regard to building with our housing challenged folks across the street at Powderhorn Park, building with community members that I was working on Wellness Wednesday with, which is a free and low cost health alternative or complementary health practices in the park, and also at 35th and Bloomington, as well as a few other things. And also being a teacher still. My body shut down and I lost my eyesight. Literally, migraines, debilitating. I also lost my ability to walk. Now, I'm not really playing like 100%. As a dancer, as an artist, to lose your vision and to lose your ability to walk is like the worst thing that could happen to you. And it was because of inflammation on my body. They said I had, when I went to the specialist in the emergency room, they said I had hydrocephalus. How do you just get that? And it became this water on the brain that I could not process, I could not think through, I could not breathe enough, I could not do enough to get rid of. But I had about 5 people that helped me: acupuncture, craniosacral, Reiki, some herbal treatments, tinctures, and other herbs that I ingest. And I did some deeper research on sound. And at that time, I was playing Tibetan singing bowls, which were all right. They did okay. But it was the crystal singing bowl that I researched further that actually did something. And this bowl right here that's in front of you is the F-sharp bowl. The F-sharp bowl is focused on the thymus gland, which is the higher heart chakra. And imagine all of the many million, billion, absolutely miraculous number of processes that go through your body and are tethered to a vibration of atoms rubbing together. And this particular note, while almost all singing bowls are going to be one repetitive, monotonous note, invigorating the process of eliminating excess liquid on the body. This is the research. That the thymus gland, the vagus nerve, stimulating this release of excess liquid, where they said I had to have a shunt in my neck and get a spinal tap, and then I would eventually lose my eyesight. I'm gonna open my eyes real wide because I can see. It took me 2 weeks. I got this bowl first, and I played it for half an hour to an hour a day, depending on how much I could stand. And then I went back and got my D bowl. D bowl is about where they were going to do the spinal tap. Now, this is my own diagnosis, honestly. So that's about where they were going to stick this needle in my back. Thymus gland, right about in this area, that's that chakra. And I played those, and it's a harmony that you'd hear. And that harmony over 2 weeks allowed me to rid myself of migraines, allowed me to see properly for more than just about 30, 40 minutes consistently. Then over time, full use of my eyes allowed me to be able to get up and walk, whereas sometimes I'd be sitting here and be stuck. And that's in 2020, in September. And when I experienced that over 2 weeks with my arsenal of healing friends, I decided that I was going to stop everything I was going to do and focus on healing. Focus on the things that really matter to me, and that is creation. In that same vibration, I am creating a mentality. I'm saying to myself mantras and affirmations that fortify my soul. I'm seeing the vibrancy of my electromagnetic fields. I'm seeing the vibrancy of myself. And the mind has so much power to share with you and everyone else the overcoming of negative forces that try to take you down. And in that moment, I thought, I didn't know how I was going to move out of that, but I knew I had to, and there were ways. And complementary, natural ways were able to help me. So I used that. I used the jewelry work. So this particular piece is a quartz crystal. And this quartz crystal, after being not diagnosed, but interpreted by a crystal healer, gemologist, folks that look at things and really decipher where it came from and how old it is and things, determined that this was a master laser crystal. And I made it in 2017, actually, and I purposed it particularly for playing the singing bowls and the earrings as well. Purposefully placing them on the body, allowing them to serve as basically creating a circuit board for vibration and for movement of energy through the body. That's how I use my jewelry. If you buy a piece from me, or if you've ever worn or seen a piece from me, it is shaped in a particular way or vibrancy that the crystal asks. that my love of movement in and out, metal as well as just movement in general, dance, it dances around the gym. And hopefully with the wearer will bring life and vibrancy to them as well. I have not heard any complaints yet. I've only heard great things about that as well. But my art is a healing tool. And I believe strongly that with every person that I've come across, even with the Healing Arts Mall that we did on the square, that creating community bonds and using those bonds to continue to create what comes of those bonds, what comes of those conversations, that comes out in my work is also healing. The natural way we heal and create together is healing. And continuing that daily practice is supremely important. And so that's why I do what I do. In 2021, I left MPS and pursued this fully. And I've been able to be working, I've been able to work at Abbott Hospital, working with their Wellspring program, playing for the employees as well as the folks that are discharged from the hospital, which is a great honor to be able to see them as they come down and soothe their nervous systems as I can and as we talk. I've worked in a couple of corporate situations as well as MPS with their staff and really working with their staff meetings and how they are processing their days, getting into meditation, focusing in on student-focused work, as well as young people and really cultivating the curiosity around what vibration is and how it can help them, how quieting the mind can help them learn better and focus better. So while we may be just this much behind the East and West Coast on sound and building sound in the community, it's slowly but surely growing. And it's such a blessing to see that community growing and building places, spaces, holding space to have creativity be a extreme igniter of how people choose their complementary healing. Not necessarily to take the place of, but to definitely expand on and collaborate with their doctors on how they're healing. It's an amazing thing, and I appreciate it a lot. I appreciate being able to be in this space and honored to be able to speak with you. And so now for the last 2 years, I've been playing sound at Walker Community Church every Monday. I've lessened it to 2 Mondays just for my own private practice. And again, I'm across the street every day making, and I'm out here and able to be with these amazing folks that have weathered amazing, miraculous struggle out here. And it's a blessing to be able to share space and talk with and build with them as well. So I'm grateful. And I know that's like jumping all over the place, but this is why I'm here today. That's all. And if you ever, I'm somewhere around. If you ever want to experience it Monday nights, if you ever want to be, have a conversation about vibration and what that is and how that complements work, I'm always somewhere. So.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. It's powerful and heartfelt, so thank you. Our next guest panelist is Boran Adbul. Did I say that right? Oh, wonderful. I've been practicing.
It's flawless. It's perfect.
She's a second-year medical student at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. She is a founder of Arts and Medicine group for students interested in the art of healing and in the power of art to heal. Boran is Syrian American and was raised in Minnesota. Her favorite artistic media are pen and ink calligraphy, in addition to poetry. So let's welcome Boran as she shares her story.
Thank you, Tamiko, for sharing.
Yep, there it is.
Thank you, Tamiko, for sharing.
Yeah, do you want to hold it closer to you?
Okay.
There it is.
My piece actually shares a lot of my story, so my performance and my story are kind of just synonymous, if that's okay. Good afternoon to everybody joining me in this space today. Peace be upon you. In college, my calligraphy instructor forbade us from doing assignments angry or over-caffeinated. He insisted that we grind our own ink into stone and use that time to enter the moment in which we create our art. Now, 5 years later, when my mind brims with tangled, unclear, overwhelming thoughts, I draw them out, thread by thread, in black ink across blank pages. In anything we do, balance is fundamental. When I practice calligraphy, I practice balance. To produce the most resonant artwork with this medium, I focus on balancing harmonies, the fluidity and viscosity of the pigment, its delicacy and its boldness, the care and the spontaneity with which I mark the page. A hand in pain trembles or stops completely, and this transmits to the page, to art, much like an electrocardiogram transmits electric signals, telling the story of the heart it monitors. Like art, beyond the capability of words to be the intermediary. My calligraphy instructor taught this focus to me and my classmates. He insisted that to receive good marks on our work, it had to be evident from brush strokes that showed sureness derived from passion and clean form that derived from peace, a balance that takes practice to call up and strike. Balance takes practice to call up and strike. I was raised Muslim, and as a Muslim, I was taught that to greet an individual, you wish them peace. When I was younger, this held little meaning to me. It was a formality with strongly academic tone. As I grew older and felt skittish with the greeting around the public, instead of a simple hello, I started to think about what it means to wish peace on a person. Then it was strange still for two reasons. One, peace can mean a number of things. It can mean a fleeting emotional sensation that bleeds into physiological. Or the other way around, it can mean a general state or mentality. The other reason it seemed odd to wish a person peace was that there are so many peace-obstructing factors that are not within an individual's control, be they structural or situational. What I have come to appreciate, though, is that because peace is so fleeting and elusive, perfect peace is rare, but still peace exists, in a balance with its opposing factors, and that there is something that can be done to aid in one's own or another's peace. A verbal wish, as I was taught, from a stranger, or intention from one's own self, is oftentimes a start, and the desire to hand at least some control over the rest of a person's peace back to that person, be they sick or otherwise, is what appeals to me and my classmates about medicine. We have learned in medical school that no patient holds an isolated complaint. What brings you to share a room with the patient are many layers of complex, interconnected systems and circumstance. What brings you in today is the result of this set of permutations and circumstance, and what follows after they leave is another set. But briefly, a doctor has a window of influence between the two. I am greatly confident that the most elegant balance of all, for the art of health seeking, whoever it may be that provides it, is that which is scientifically backed but deeply grounded in human lives, meeting them where they are. I have been asked why I would waste an artful mind on medicine. I believe that the calling of a good physician is a calling wherein balances are innumerable, between being a teacher and being a student, on being an advocate for change and the sage of wisdom of those who came before us, a discerning scientist and a devoted friend. Once in a while, a patient comes into the care of health providers who are artists of these balances, and I pray these are the ones who we entrust. But I have one last insight on health seeking and promotion. Medical care epitomizes what being human means to me. In Arabic, the word for human is insan, which is a variation of the word forgetful. Colloquially, the word forgetful is just a proxy for being fallible, and that is fitting when we speak of health and when we speak of peace. When a traumatized person is affected by an experience, when a person contracts the flu, or when a bone is broken by accident, all of these individuals are sick because they were vulnerable to varying degrees. To be human is to be vulnerable to suffering, to be insane. In order to get better, peace must be made with that which is incorrigible, and efforts must be made to lessen that fallibility in the future. Efforts shaped first and foremost by listening to the needs of the person that needs help, be that yourself or a friend or a community. I know that the notion of peace has the potential to be weaponized into victim blaming and pacification, of being misconstrued as complacency. Allow me to assure you, complacency is not peaceful. This is something I have experienced and observed firsthand. It is not the responsibility of a victim to accept war in our home countries or life-obstructing inequities in our communities and the generational impact that all of these things have on us. That is not the peace I advocate for. Peace, I believe, is a dynamic, alive effort that takes labor to personally execute and to help our neighbors and patients uphold. That said, I stress the following. If calligraphers build up paragraphs from ink strokes and chemists build up matter from atoms, doctors should consider a world built from the level of a singular human body. I encourage you to take this mentality up when you might feel lost in the ever-expanding largeness of our social, professional, and advocacy networks. To seek peace, even briefly, to take care of yourself or a loved one or a community, to speak kindly to yourself or a loved one or a community, to seek help and to insist on just, peaceful conditions for yourself or a loved one or a community is truly a start on making a healthier world. At least that is what I was taught. Peace and health from me too.
Thank you as well for your story. I really appreciate that. We are now going to do a few questions. I have a few questions that I'll ask. To ask the questions that you have, so that can be a more intimate experience without you worrying that it's going to be recorded somewhere and posted online. And the first question that our planning team came up with is, why in Western medicine, why is there tension when it comes to exploring other ways of healing, especially through the arts?
Why is there tension?
Yeah, why is there tension when it comes to exploring other ways of healing, especially through the arts?
Okay, so I'm going to take a really just plain and direct approach. It's a money game, period. So whatever is not scientifically backed with a host of folks signing off on that practice, it's not embraced. One, two, I think it is an age-old practice of moving away from what is considered to be woo-woo, pagan, ancient practice, when those things literally are just replicated in Western medicine in different ways. So it becomes, again, another money trap. And those things that our great-great-grandmothers know, that passed it down and down and down, get washed out by a pill. When it is artful to practice the tradition, practice the repetition, keep that vibrancy through your bloodline in order to pull that into the future. There's nothing wrong with that. And our natural world asks us to use her in that way. And we, moving away from that, is against what? Our evolution is against our society, because it's built to do a particular thing and not to continue the cycle. Sickness is money. So.
I agree that sickness translates into money, and we learn a lot about a reactive healthcare system that is rewarded by sick people coming in to get treatment, and is not rewarding preventative care, people taking care of themselves and doing the things that they were taught to do to keep themselves healthy. And also just logistically, I think training-wise, all of us can attest to the experience of our training is science is empirical, and there's no room for anything else. And I also think that the perception of a physician that we've grown up with in the States is the perception of a white coat, of somebody who is polarized to either end of Western medicine or holistic medicine, when people exist nowhere on these polarities in their daily practices.
Thank you. Tamiko, you mentioned elders, and that triggered my memory. Is Miss Angela still in the house? Is
She's
she
actually right there.
She's right back there. Okay. Because I just wanted to acknowledge her being in this space as one of our elders in the community. She's the aunt of George Floyd, and she shows up every single day. And she's also the co-chair of the board of the George Floyd Global Memorial. So I just wanted to make sure that I had acknowledged her.
Where is she?
I think she may be in the board. Yeah, she's talking with folks. She's doing what she loves to do. So, but let's move to the next question. It's simply, is there a possibility to imagine a future where there is more welcome to integrative wellness?
So I'll just talk briefly about my opportunity to work with Abbott Hospital. That partnership came out of just us doing our Wellness Wednesday practice. Literally showing up, being present, and someone actually from that community who was an acupuncturist, which was also considered not something that people would do in a hospital setting. For a while, but she was like, we need to have this for our employees. Like, we should have a arts mall, artistic healing mall for our employees so they can experience this and figure out maybe a doctor or two wants to incorporate this. And so they're in an experimental phase, experimental situation where they're looking at the openness of having sound as part of the practice. And I was honored enough to be able to present sound with them while they were doing massage therapy, while we were doing acupuncture. And so pairing this layering of earth energy while the science of vibrational touch, healing touch is what it's called, but really understanding that exchange between two humans, that electromagnetic field that is healing between two humans is amazing. And so I do believe it is something that can be embraced. It'll probably be embraced in just, small pockets until it's capitalized on.
Yeah, I agree. I was at orthopedic center, I think. I shadowed at some point through college, and they had a holistic practitioner in the pain specialty department. And that is one element, is like gaining credibility by being incorporated into the healthcare system as it stands. But also, I think people need it, and when people are exposed to complementary medicine, they realize the value of it. And the thing about social media is that people can experience things that they might not have before. So I see that as an avenue for gaining access to legitimacy.
Okay, thank you. And the last question that we have is, where can we see art liberate medicine from the oppressive hand of capitalism? In art spaces, the hand of capitalism also exists. So it's kind of two parts. Can art liberate medicine from the oppressive hand of capitalism? But also in art, does the hand of capitalism also exist?
Oh, I just agree that even art has the hand of capitalism, which makes it even a taller order for something like medicine in the healthcare system. I studied healthcare for a year. That was my master's degree, and all of that kind of just convinced me of how hard it's going to be to remove those two things, to extricate them. I hope people stronger than I are studying that and furthering that and can come up with a solution, because I decided to just practice medicine on a person-to-person basis because I don't have that solution personally.
Okay, so I just wanted to talk about the first part of the question real quick. So I guess my strongest example is at North. I served as the arts integration specialist for a number of years there. And if you're familiar, been in high school, you've seen the ADD challenged young people that they pull into general population, and they may be in a wheelchair, they may have challenges using their motor functions and whatnot. And so with these young people, they'll medicate them before they bring them to class. Sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the SEAs. The strike was about supporting the SEA, who does an amazing amount of work in the classroom with the teacher. There's a young man who comes to my class, and I fought for them to have their own class. Many times in a general population class, if they're sedated or whatnot, they are just along for the ride. They do not get independent service. They do not get that education, that igniting of their creativity for that moment. They just get to sit there and watch everybody else go along with the lesson. And I think that's unfair. So if you give me an environment where I can enliven them where they're at, then that makes a whole world of difference in what they experience in class. So in class, a young man, and they told me straight out, they don't know what his skill set is. He has no capability to do anything. He would just come in my room and spin. And I said, let him spin then. That's how he feels in this classroom. In the dance studio, he feels like spinning, so I'm gonna let him do it. Well, he can't. No, I said, yes, he can, though. I said, it's all right. It's all right. Let him dance in the corner. He sees himself in the mirror. You probably don't know that he sees himself, but I can tell he sees himself. That's why he can spin better than me. So that's all right. The gentleman came to my class for 3 years in a row and literally did absolutely what they thought nothing. And in my class, I did what all the teachers wouldn't do. So I would allow them to dance, I would allow them to play instruments, I would allow them to do some art, so that they were getting all of it. That's not what I'm contracted to do, but that's what I did. And so during our music segment, this young man, again, would not do anything usually. But this week he was trying different stuff. And he doesn't have any motor function, so he would come and kind of grip on you, pull your hair, maybe pull your earring out, and you just carefully and with an extreme amount of care talk to him and he'll lessen his grip. So you would imagine that he can't play an instrument. Well, he found himself laying at my feet while I'm playing the drum, and we got about 10 other kids doing their thing. This is where I'm talking about, if they sedated him, he'd be asleep in the corner. And that's not what you want. And as a teacher, if a kid sleeps, no matter if they're challenged or not, that's a problem, and anybody can come in and write you up for that. So imagine 20 kids I'm trying to manage, and this one wants to sleep. 9 times out of 10, the teacher's gonna let them sleep. However, he found his way around, and everyone said, do you want me to get him? Do you want me to get him? No, I want you to let him be. Let's see what he does today. Let's see what he explores today. Let's see what he tries today. And he tried, and after 3 years, and it's probably not the recommended amount of time in the world of medicine, but after 3 years, he was able to put his hand on the drum, like this, from here to here, and tap with after 3 years. And I'm emotional because they said he couldn't, they said he wouldn't, and they said that You just need to do your class. Don't worry about him. That's his caseworker. But there's more inside of these young people than what we think. And when you allow them to be who they are and give them the tools, give them the exposure, give them the opportunity to understand it, hey honey, it's totally different experience in education where we're supposed to ignite their creativity. And this young man, from that moment, they videoed him, they're shouting and, oh my gosh, you got him to do this. I said, I didn't get him to do anything. He heard, he saw, he knew after 3 years of me doing the same thing every year, he was gonna get a shot and he was gonna try it. And he did. And that, to me, is where art allows for the agency to heal. To demonstrate that there is still life yet in that mind and those bones when people have cast them out or told them that they were not going to be whatever they chose for them to be. You know? And I have many stories that are like that along my teaching journey. But that changes a person when you can see that. It changes your idea of what is possible in those moments, and that's what art does. It allows that ground to change minds and hearts, convict minds and hearts, to think of things differently. And even the possibility of that moment and the moments after that. So I really think that art has the foundation, the ground, the agency, especially put into very intentional hands to do so. And capitalism, yeah, I mean, that's who we are. Unfortunately, in many different ways, it's going to seep itself in. It's going to build. It's going to present ways, but it's up to us to be very intentional, to make really, really heart-centered decisions about how it's used, how we let it function in our spaces. And so, yeah. Hey, what's up, Jack?
Hey, can I make it? I'm so good for you.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, y'all. This
This
is Mylisha.
This is Mylisha Smith, one of our community members. I just asked her if she could go grab Miss Angela, because I would love for Miss Angela to offer everyone words. And Jay Webb, who's the gardener. And we're just about to actually pivot to the Q&A space, so an opportunity just to share words, to greet people. Are you okay if we record your words too?
No, I don't mind.
Yeah, so here's
I'm speaking this. Oh, Lord. So thank you, Miss Jeanelle and Tamiko and Boran. Thank you guys for allowing this opportunity. I just want to say, just thank you all for being here and supporting the cause and the message. It is so important that we continue, whatever story it is, that we're going through, the trauma, is that we don't let it die down, that we continue to share the story and to just be an anchor for our people that are going through. Because if we keep the stories hidden, if you don't speak your message, no one will know. No one knows. And so use your voice. Your voice is very powerful, and don't be afraid to do that. And it's been a journey for us all the last 2 years. I think the last 2 years being out here has been, I don't even know how to describe it anymore. It's been a journey. We're still trying to heal through all of this. And I said that I always say this message. I always say, Jeanelle, we're still here, unstolen and unbroken. Now, 2 years ago, I couldn't have never said that message, you know. And I think when I first heard that, it was unclear to me. I knew what it meant, but I couldn't feel it. But after the 2 years has passed, I can now say that message with you. We're still here, unstolen and unbroken. And so you guys are here too. So thank you guys very much.
For those of you who don't know, Miss Angela Harrison is George Floyd's aunt, and she's also the co-chair of the board of the George Floyd Global Memorial. And she comes out here like almost every day to greet people who are visiting from all over the world. And once I asked her, I said, why do you do this? And she said, it's the least that I can do to thank people for the way in which the people have showed up. Her heart is gold. And so it's our honor.
moments.
Well, it's our honor and our privilege to have you in our community, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we want to throw it back out.